The story begins with a disturbing scene. A girl in front of the camera uses a knife to remove the skin from her own face. Yeah, because that's exactly what you want to see first thing in the morning. Someone giving themselves the ultimate face-off. It's disturbing to watch. And the next moment we see a girl named Eileen who is watching this video, and it hits her so hard that she freaks out, falls, and starts screaming. Honestly, Eileen, why are you even watching this? Should have stuck with cat videos. Now we learn that Eileen is an online content moderator. Her job is to watch a ton of disturbing videos every day to decide whether they should be allowed on social media. Basically, Eileen's job is like watching nightmares on repeat, but for real. These videos are gruesome, filled with bloodshed, accidents, and just plain creepy content. Any normal person would be scarred for life by watching this stuff, and that's exactly what's happening to poor Eileen. It's messing with her head. At the same time, we see other workers in the company who notice Eileen's distress. They're also content moderators, but one girl, Lyra, seems to be watching Eileen suffer with a weird intensity. Lyra's over here like, mental breakdowns? Fascinating. Nice friend, right? In the next scene, we learn through the office gossip that Lyra is supposed to be Eileen's good friend. But despite being her friend, Lyra doesn't show the slightest bit of concern for Eileen's mental health. In fact, it's like Lyra doesn't even recognize Eileen when she's in pain. Some friend, huh? She's probably the type to forget your birthday, but remember to borrow your favorite shirt. The next day, Lyra's boss calls her into his office to have a little chat. He shows her a list of disturbing videos that she had approved by mistake. Lyra apologizes, but we notice that her hands are trembling. She asks her boss for a box of medicine, and it turns out her boss had already given her these meds before, but she's run out. So, the boss gives her more. Looks like these pills are her little coping mechanism for surviving the daily horror show that is her job. It's not clear what kind of medicine this is, but it seems like all the workers are taking it to handle the mental stress of watching these disturbing clips all day. Because nothing screams great workplace environment like a company that hands out meds to keep employees from having mental breakdowns. We don't know if it's antidepressants or something else, but it's definitely addictive. We can tell from Lyra's trembling hands that she's hooked. Lyra's got that medication-like support vibe going on. Take away the pills, and she might just lose it. It's also possible that Lyra's boss is giving these mild drugs to all the workers to help them handle the pressure. It's not some strong drug, but it's enough to keep them going barely. We see Lyra taking this medicine in different scenes, and it's clear she needs it to get through her shifts. Later, Lyra heads to her night shift, and, surprise, surprise, it's time to watch more disturbing videos. The first clip she sees is of a dead body, completely burned, with a man recording it. Because, nothing says fun evening like watching a horror movie that's actually real life. After that, she's bombarded with more videos of bloodshed, animal cruelty, and harassment. It's overwhelming, but Lyra just keeps deleting them. At this point, she's basically on autopilot. Delete, pop a pill, repeat. And that's her life. Deleting horrific videos while quietly battling her own crumbling sanity. Honestly, someone get these people a new job, or at least a vacation that doesn't involve watching real-life horror shows. The next day at the office, everyone notices that Eileen is missing. Since the whole incident, she hasn't been coming to work. Her boss, with all the emotional depth of a wet mop, tells everyone they need to find Eileen's phone. Yeah, forget Eileen. Let's just track down her phone, because that's obviously the real issue here. He says he's sad about it, but insists they need to increase their work efficiency. Of course, nothing says mourning your co-worker like a motivational speech about productivity. He then tells everyone to give 100%, because that's apparently the corporate cure for trauma. After that pep talk, Lyra heads to the office rest area to chill for a bit. There, we get a glimpse of the other workers, and let's just say, none of them look like they're living their best lives. Honestly, they all look like extras from a zombie movie. Except instead of craving brains, they're craving a way out of this nightmare job. Their eyes scream, I hate this place. But hey, bills need to be paid, right? After a short break, Lyra returns to her desk. This time, she stumbles upon a video of a girl, and this girl looks eerily familiar. She bears a striking resemblance to the one in the face-cutting video that messed up Eileen. Lyra doesn't realize it's the same girl, though. The clip doesn't seem too bad at first, so Lyra, being a bit too casual about her job, approves the video after only watching the beginning. Yeah, Lyra's work ethic here is giving serious, I'll just skim through it vibes, like when you claim you read the whole book for class, but really, you just read the blurb. In the next video, things get much darker. A man hands a cat to a girl and tries to burn it with a fire torch. Lyra, disgusted, deletes the video immediately and shuts off her computer. Finally, Lyra's doing her job right. Too bad it took a flaming cat for her to get her act together. Her shift ends, and she heads to the washroom where she pops more of those addictive medicine tablets. Nothing says end of shift like a quick pill-popping session, right? Just your typical workday coping mechanism. While in the washroom, we see a strange lady standing behind Lyra, but she doesn't notice. Classic horror movie moment. Someone's creeping up on you, and you're too busy to care. As she leaves, Strange things start happening in the office. The lights flicker, and she hears footsteps, but no one's around. Lyra ignores it all and heads out to the nearest grocery store. At the store, she bumps into a guy named Jess, who works in the same building as her. Jess works in IT on the floor above her company. From the way Jess talks, it's clear he's into Lyra. But Lyra's in no mood for flirting. She's just trying to survive her haunted office life, not deal with some awkward IT guy. Suddenly, Lyra hears a loud thud. She goes outside and sees a crowd gathering. She walks over and, to her shock, finds Eileen's dead body on the ground. Eileen had committed suicide by jumping from the office building. It's a tragic scene, but what's even worse? Instead of helping, the crowd, including Jess, is busy recording it on their phones. Because why be a decent human when you can get likes and views, right? Later, CCTV footage from a few hours earlier is shown, and we see Eileen acting strangely. She had been following Lyra around the office. Suddenly, it clicks. The strange lady Lyra saw in the washroom earlier, that was Eileen. So, not only did Eileen go through a mental breakdown, but she also turned into the office's resident ghost. Great. Why she was behaving like this is still a mystery. Honestly, between the creepy videos and ghost co-workers, this office is more haunted than a discount horror movie set. In the next scene, investigating officers arrive at the office to look into Eileen's death. They start questioning all the workers. Lyra gets called in for her turn, but before she goes, her boss pulls her aside with the most corporate pep talk ever. He tells her, "I already told you what to say and what not to say." And then, because bribery makes everything better, he adds, "Oh, and by the way, your salary's going up after this." Ah, yes. Nothing motivates honesty like a paycheck boost. Lyra heads into the interrogation room, where the officers ask her what the company does. Lyra, following her boss's instructions, lies smoothly and says, "We just provide support services, nothing else." Because what's a little white lie about a job that's probably ruining everyone's mental health, right? The real reason behind the lie is obvious. The company's work is probably illegal since it's driving its employees to the brink of insanity. The officers then ask her about Eileen. Lyra plays it cool, claiming, "She was just a colleague, not a friend. I didn't know much about her." Yeah, nothing like distancing yourself from the dead girl as fast as possible. Classic survival move, Lyra. After that, the investigation pauses. Later, while Lyra is in a store, she glances at a camera in another section and sees Eileen's spirit lurking around. She rushes over to investigate, but surprise, no one's there. Lyra brushes it off, convincing herself it's just a hallucination. Because, seeing ghost co-workers is just another day in the life at this haunted office. At another point, Lyra is sitting with her colleagues, scrolling through a social media site. She starts to notice some videos she accidentally approved earlier. Turns out, she wasn't paying close enough attention. Basically, she was half asleep on the job, like when you accidentally hit reply all on an email. The videos seem normal at first, but by the end, they become super disturbing. Oops, guess she missed that memo. Meanwhile, her colleagues are gossiping about Eileen. They reveal that Eileen was in serious debt, and that's why she took this horrible job. They also throw in some juicy office drama, claiming that Eileen had physical relations with their boss. Yikes. Just when you thought this office couldn't get more toxic, Lyra tries to defend Eileen, saying, "There's nothing like that. Eileen was just a normal girl." But her colleagues push back, asking how Lyra herself has managed to survive the job and stay mentally sane while watching all these disturbing videos. Lyra responds in the most numb, desensitized way possible, saying, "If you think about it on a personal level, yes, it affects you. But if you consider that there are billions of people in the world, and something bad happens to someone somewhere all the time, it doesn't matter to us." Wow, Lyra, that's the kind of "I've given up on humanity" speech you hear from someone who's dead inside. Lyra goes back to her desk and starts working again. But this time, after watching a particularly disturbing video, she feels sick and rushes to the washroom. Once inside, she begins vomiting. And not just your average gross vomit, but huge insects start pouring out of her mouth. You know it's bad when your body decides to turn into a horror movie special effect. Then, just like that, the scene shifts and it becomes clear that this wasn't real, just the side effects of the pills she's been popping like candy. Turns out those magic workplace pills aren't so magical after all. Who knew? Lyra heads up to the rooftop again to clear her head, and there she runs into Jess. They start chatting, and suddenly Lyra decides to get deep and personal, opening up about her childhood trauma. She tells Jess that where she's from, people believe that if a dog barked for no reason, someone in the family would die. She adds that she had a pet dog once, but one day her psycho dad killed it in cold blood because it was making noise. Ah yes, nothing says casual rooftop chat like a horrifying story about dog murder. Great conversation starter, Lyra. Then we find out Lyra had already told the same disturbing story to Eileen while they were on the terrace together. And that's when Lyra decided to drop some real dark, selfish wisdom on Eileen, saying, "When you look down from this building, everyone just looks like little dots. So if one of these dots stops or disappears, it shouldn't matter to anyone. Wow, Lyra, that's just the kind of heartwarming philosophy that makes you the perfect person to never ask for life advice. This mindset showed exactly how messed up Lyra's thinking had become. People only mattered if they were useful to her. No wonder she treated Eileen like an almost friend. She was only a friend in the way that a soggy French fry is almost food, just not really worth the effort. Then we jump back to the present where Lyra and Jess are at a party. Things start heating up between them when, boom, Lyra suddenly sees Eileen's ghostly figure. Freaked out, she bolts to the bathroom and starts screaming like a banshee. Next thing you know, Lyra's back in her childhood home, reliving the traumatic moment when her dad killed her dog. But here's the twist. We learn that her dad didn't just kill the dog, he actually killed her mom. Lyra had blocked out the memory because the truth was too traumatic. She had been telling herself all these years that her dad killed the dog, but it turns out that he had also murdered her mom. Talk about a mental block. Imagine blaming a poor dog for decades only to find out it was really about your psycho dad and your dead mom. Makes your family dinner seem pretty normal, right? This revelation explains why Lyra had always been in denial, telling herself that her mom had just gone missing. She couldn't face the reality that her father had actually killed her mom. And honestly, with that kind of baggage, it's no wonder she turned into the emotional equivalent of a rock. Anyway, Lyra returns to work, but something strange happens. This time, while watching a video of a boy's accident, she actually feels something like a tiny flicker of humanity. The boy had died in the accident, and for the first time in a long time, Lyra seemed affected. Looks like there's a heart in there somewhere after all, hidden under layers of trauma and emotional deadness. That's when you realize maybe, just maybe, Lyra's starting to crack. Or, maybe it's just the bad workplace meds messing with her brain again. Now, Lyra deletes that disturbing video of the boy's accident, and that's when things start to get real weird in the office. Suddenly, another video pops up on her computer, uploaded from the same account. This time, it's Eileen, recording herself right before she takes her own life. In the video, Eileen says, "I can't do this work anymore," and then just like that, she jumps off the building. Well, thanks, Eileen, for that uplifting content. Just what Lyra needed to start her night shift, trauma on demand. Lyra's boss sees this video and immediately panics. He knows that if anyone else watches it, the company will be in big trouble, and their dirty little secrets will get exposed. He quickly deletes the video, but not even a second later, another video pops up from the same account. This new video shows the inside of Lyra's office, as if someone recorded it without anyone noticing. Now Lyra's boss is freaking out even more. He calls the security guard and tells him to make sure no one else enters the building. But just when the guard starts patrolling, he sees some freaky paranormal stuff happening. Before he knows it, something attacks him. Poor guy thought he was signing up for a desk job, not a horror movie. On the other hand, Lyra asks Jess if he still has a video he recorded of Eileen's fall that day. When Lyra watches the footage, she notices something. A man had stolen Eileen's phone right after she died. Lyra suspects this guy might be the one uploading all the videos from Eileen's account. But then, she realizes something even stranger. The man in the video is the same guy from the accident footage that she deleted earlier. Wait a minute, dude's supposed to be dead. So, who's uploading these creepy videos? Ghost hackers now. Lyra rewatches the video and confirms it's the same guy who took Eileen's phone. But if he had died in the accident, then who's behind these uploads? She digs deeper into the video and spots the location of the accident. That's when she sees it. Eileen's ghost is standing right there, confirming all these bizarre happenings are due to her spirit. Great, it's official. Eileen's back from the dead, and she's not just haunting for fun. She's on a full-blown ghostly revenge tour. Suddenly, another video pops up on Lyra's computer. This time, the security guard, who's now possessed, appears on screen. Lyra watches in horror as the guard shoots himself, ending his own life. Meanwhile, Eileen's ghost also goes after Lyra's boss, and let's just say his death isn't pretty. Well, looks like no one's getting their paycheck this month, boss. Sorry, not sorry. Now, Lyra is all alone in the office. It's her night shift, and things are going from bad to worse. She tries to leave the building, but the terror has only just begun. Out of nowhere, Eileen's terrifying ghost attacks her. Meanwhile, Jess is starting to wonder why Lyra is still in the office when everyone else has already left. Suspicious. He heads back to the building to find her. Jess, buddy, you better hope Lyra is still alive when you get there, or else you're about to star in the sequel of this horror show. Lyra is on screen, looking nervous as Eileen's ghost creeps toward her. We're soon told why Eileen's spirit is after Lyra and her friends. The movie's big twist is revealed here. At the beginning of the movie, Eileen saw a video about drugs that left her shaken. She went to her boss to report it, but instead of helping, the boss gave her depression pills that turned out to be knockout drugs. Seriously, Eileen? Did you not think it was shady that your boss was moonlighting as a sketchy pharmacist? While Eileen was losing consciousness, the boss assaulted her. To make it worse, Lyra was outside watching everything. But instead of helping, she stayed quiet because she was afraid of losing her job. Lyra, you had one job, literally and morally, and you blew it. Bravo. Eileen spiraled into depression because her boss had wronged her, and her so-called friend Lyra didn't lift a finger. Days later, unable to cope, Eileen ended her own life. Her spirit is now back to take revenge on Lyra. As Lyra watches an eerie video showing everything she had ignored, Eileen's ghost appears behind her. Lyra breaks down in tears and begs for forgiveness, saying, "My life was a nightmare too, and I didn't know how to help you. Please forgive me, Mother." Wait, what? Mother? Lyra, pick a story and stick to it. You're all over the place. Hearing this, Eileen's spirit vanishes, and things seem to return to normal. Jess, Lyra's friend, arrives with security guards and rescues her. About time someone showed up with some common sense. Thanks, Jess. In the final scene, Lyra gives an interview, exposing the dark truths about her company. She wears a mask for anonymity, but things take a terrifying turn. As she starts talking, blood drips from her face, and the mask won't come off. A video plays showing Lyra slicing her own face with a knife, blood pouring everywhere. It's clear Eileen's spirit hasn't forgiven her. Eileen's ghost is taking the petty revenge game to a whole new level. Forget haunting. She's a full-on horror show producer. The interviewer asks Lyra, "Are you living your nightmare right now?" Lyra realizes she might already be in the spirit world. Plot twist. Lyra, even the audience saw this coming. Get it together. Eileen's revenge seems inspired by an earlier scene where another girl peeled her face off with a knife. It's hinted that Eileen might have used that video as inspiration for Lyra's punishment. Or maybe Eileen just saw Lyra's miserable future and decided to speed things up. The movie ends with the unsettling truth. Even if Eileen's spirit forgives Lyra, big if, Lyra's life is doomed. Her boss and others involved in the company aren't going to let her go so easily. Lyra's new job title, full-time sufferer. Congratulations on the promotion. And boom, just like that, this Filipino horror movie ends with a bang, or should we say, a slice?